Okay, this video is for several people that I've been discussing power control with, and I've stumbled upon a discovery that initially I thought was flawed. I bought this at Harbor Freight. It is a router speed controller. Well, it turns out the device itself was defective in the sense that it wasn't constructed well. The first time I tried it, there was a flaw in the fuse construction. Well, for the simple fact that the fuse didn't blow, I was kind of suspicious that something else actually happened. So I did a continuity test and all that, and the continuity test got me thinking that sometimes when you press on stuff to test it, you actually re-engage it and make it work again. So sure as enough, when I isolated the switch or the fuse, it was determined that the fuse was what was wrong. So this thing cost me 20 bucks. And it is what I've been looking for a long time. This is a 15 amp device. It's an AC unit. I have this hooked into my cell on the AC side. This light's kind of bright here. I'm going to be tearing this whole thing apart for my new cell, but just for this experiment, this here is a DC setup that I have using a MOT microwave transformer. And you don't need to have a MOT to use one of these. I'm going to start this out. It runs a little bit of current all the way on low, but not much. So I'm going to turn this up all the way to the green here. You can see the amperage in the background there going up. And I'm going to turn it all the way up. And that's without my pump on. I'm at 60. You can see the amperage is gradually dropping because of polarization or the accumulation of bubbles. But I'm going to turn this on. That kicks my amps back up to 90 by the mitigation of polarization. A lot of people ask me why I put a pump on my cell. Well, polarization is the main reason. It doesn't help the efficiency at all. I'm not doing this for efficiency. I'm doing it to get gas to weld and solder with. So I'm going to turn this down. As you can see, it's got awesome control. I can probably dial in right on 20 amps. Exactly, I bet. Well, I don't want to sit here and fiddle with it too long. My computer's sitting in front of a bomb. So, you get my point. I'm going to crank it up again. You can see it there running 87 amps. This thing is awesome. I definitely like it. This is a router speed controller. It's an AC device. On the back of it here, this is the heat plate. I am going to be installing 89 degrees with just that little test. Okay, on the rest of this, I'm going to do a little soldering demonstration because I've been talking about that with a couple of different people. I have done a demonstration doing much smaller work than what I'm about to do. I just wanted to show how well the results I get with just a small flame. This is the main reason I like these torches. There's no parallel when it comes to soldering. Well, you can see that it's not a very big flame. So, just for a quick little shot, it's pretty much impossible to solder stuff like this without using a hydrogen torch. I mean, you get one little piece hot and everything else is falling apart on you, but with that little micro precision flame, you can solder really little tiny stuff like it isn't nothing. I mean, some of this stuff this is a pretty sloppy job. That's because I didn't have any patience when I was doing this, but To do this with anything other than HHO would be a nightmare in my opinion. I've used soldering irons and butane, and without HHO, this would have been a real pain. Okay, so basically I'm going to be tearing my old cell apart here, even though it works. Because this variac works so well, this right here, I'm going to rewire my mott. I'm going to hook up this cell right here. And I got this little pump here. It's a chemical agriculture pump. So I'm hoping that the fact that it's a diaphragm pump and all that will help me out. It can withstand 40 psi and it runs at 25 psi. And again, I've had several people ask, why bother putting a pump on one of these cells? Well, some of the studies that I have done have discussed the issue of polarization, which is the accumulation of bubbles on your plates. Now, a lot of people have heard that, and it doesn't necessarily help efficiency to knock them off. But when it comes to making a compact cell that's at the same time powerful, it's definitely something you have to do. Okay, one more thing I forgot to mention about this gas is its ability to drill holes. I don't know if you can see these tiny little holes or not, but I got 2 of them in here. Didn't take very long to do. Do you know how hard it would be to do that with a drill bit? First of all, drilling into round surfaces is always hard, even with a punch, unless you got a drill press, and I don't. But man, that goes all the way through, and this thing is about 3/16 of an inch thick. Let's see if I don't know if this will work or not. You see that? That was a good shot. Look at that. That hole's going all the way through. There's another one. So that right there has got me sold on the whole torch thing. The flame I did this with was pretty big, probably about 3 inches long. And like I said, you won't see a hole initially, but rather a little oxidized core that once you chip away will reveal these tiny little precision holes. I may try to do an array of holes on here to see if I can do some real exact stuff and then sand it all off, make it look neat. Okay, the rest of this video is for Sir Hoax, just to kind of clarify what I was explaining in one of my letters. This was the device I was attempting to describe to you. Basically, we were talking about a preheat source for your oil engine, and you were talking about the concept of maybe using batteries, but we're worried about the weight. I don't recommend using an induction system with batteries and all that, because believe it or not, the thing will not last very long at all. Generating heat requires a significant amount of wattage, especially the type of heat you're probably going to need for this. But anyway, one of my suggestions that I was writing you about is a device that would look something like this. It's made out of all copper pipe that was soldered together with some high temp solder. And basically what we would do is take one of these, which is a brazing fitting for a brazing torch. This goes right on a propane torch. You could possibly have the propane torch under your seat, maybe. I know that'd be kind of dangerous to do something like that, but just so you could get at the valve and access the valve, you could turn this on from inside your car and then ignite this propane torch tip, which is connected to it, and then use a grill igniter to light it up. Now this canister would be mounted to the firewall or something, or somewhere in the engine where it would fit, and basically it would just be a good way to give you a kind of a heat source that doesn't require any type of plug-in or electricity, like if you're at work and stuff like that, or you go somewhere you may not have access to power. This definitely would be a good portable, cheap way to preheat this stuff. That's just the route that you could go if you can't find like an inline fuel heater. I do know they have those. You might be able to get one out of a junkyard, but if you can't find one, this was what I was trying to explain. I don't expect you to attempt to use something like this or anything like that, but just to clarify what I was getting at.